Section 3, how a bill becomes law of the House. And then Section 4, tomorrow, it'll be the Senate. Bill, a proposed law presented to the House or Senate for consideration. Bills or measures can be proposed by business, labor, agriculture, and other special interest groups, as well as private citizens or from the standing committees of Congress. However, only representatives members can introduce bills in the House.
Mia, does that strike you as a little odd that here we elect these folks to go back and represent us, and they're not even the ones who are crafting and writing the bills, but it's any plethora of other sources that are writing these bills and giving to them, and then they go drop it in the hopper and try and pass it off as their own? Is that, are you okay with that? Is that legit? I mean,
I was listening to you, but what exactly is your question?
my question is, so we elect these people, Senator Feinstein, Senator Boxer, we elect, Costa's no longer in office, he got voted out. Was it Johnny Teixeira? Yeah. So we elect these folks to represent us, and now you've just revealed to us.
Are you saying it's not really like them, it's like the committees that are doing the work?
Well, no, because right here you said the bills that are actually circulated, their genesis is not with our elected officials. Their genesis is with special interest groups, unions, businesses, private individuals. Do you think these elected officials should be championing these bills from sources other than their own written stuff? I mean, are you okay with that? Is that a legitimate thing to do?
Like getting it from different people? And well, I think that's fine. I mean, isn't it getting other people's opinion on what they want, and then bringing it back to, of course, the House, and then people or members would look over it?
I'm just asking you to justify what you think about that. So it sounds like you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Is anyone else out there not okay? Do you think that any bill should have been the original creation of the elected official himself or herself? How many of you don't even really care about laws that are passed or that affect you in any way, shape, or form?
Well, we should care. Then, who knows, there might be some law that it's a little too late to say something, and even if they passed it on without even thinking, well, then again, that's why they get up there before they get vetoed and all that stuff. Then we have protests like saying, why you guys didn't come up to us telling us this? We should know about this before you guys send it up to the big house and all that.
So, Valeria, what if an elected official tells you, don't say anything bad about it. Anyone who complains about this bill is just a weirdo or you're unpatriotic. We just need to pass it, and then you can see what's in it.
That's a dumbass idea, because if they say I can't, if you have like, let's see, what could be some big crazy law that can affect us all in this room, like saying, oh yeah, if any student is caught with their phone or something in class, they have the right to get arrested as soon as they see it, or I don't know, I'm thinking of a law that could affect us all. And if we don't see that before they make it a law, then we'll be like, what the heck did we just vote for, or what the heck did we just send them up there for, you know?
Well then, if that's the case, Larry, why have we heard recently so many elected officials say, if you are complaining, then you're a weirdo, or you should be marginalized, you just need to pass it. And anyone who complains about it is just a radical or an extremist, and you just need to just do what we tell you to do because we know best.
Well, sometimes the best doesn't mean the good. And when they say that you're a weirdo, we're a bunch of weirdos, so what? So I say that you tell us what we want before you send the thing, and then we'll give you our answer. Then, if we say yes, then heck, we'll sign it for you. If not, then burn that thing. I don't want to see it in my face again.
Larry for president.
Types of bills. Public bills, measures applying to the nation as a whole. private bills, measures that apply to certain persons or places rather than the entire nation. And there's 3 types of resolutions: joint resolutions, similar to bills, and then passed, and when passed, have the force law. It deals most often with unusual or temporary matters. Concurrent resolutions deals with matters in which the House and Senate must act jointly, yet they do not have the force of law and do not require the President's signature. This is most often used by Congress to state the position. Resolutions deals with matters concerning either House alone and are taken up only by that House. Used most often for adopting a new rule of procedure or the amendment of some existing rule.
How many of you were familiar with the idea of either the House or the Senate or both together using resolutions as a way to exercise their constitutional legislative influence? Raise your hand if you've ever heard of resolutions before.
I heard the family talking about it, I never quite know what they were talking about.
Probably the best known one in your lifetime that had got the most traction and the most PR happened after 9/11, where I've never seen this happen before in my lifetime. Every one of the members of the House of Representatives in 2001, except one, some lady who lived in Oakland, and every member of the Senate, all 100 of them, passed a joint resolution where they said, we will not tolerate terrorism and we will hunt down and find terrorists wherever they are. Can you imagine that? Everyone in the House and everyone in the Senate on the same page except for one person out of Oakland.
Well,
Why was there?
no, they all went against you.
She felt it was too hard a language against terrorists.
It is kind of wild.
And they started making like airport security more strict.
Well, then they started passing bills, but this was I remember because they all got in front of the Congress and on the steps. I don't know if you've ever seen the picture of on the east side of on the west side of the Congress. There's a big long set of steps, and every one of the senators, every one of the representatives, everyone was there. It's crazy. I've never seen that kind of unanimity in our Congress as long as I've lived. Yeah, it's funny what terrorists, the unintended consequence, talk about Stossel, unintended consequences of terrorism. They actually brought all the Democrats and Republicans together.
Sometimes it takes very evil to unify people.
Writing. A provision not likely to pass in its own merit that is attached to an important bill is certain to pass. While a bill only deals with a single matter, sometimes a writer dealing with an unrelated subject is included. Sponsors hope, since it's attached to and it follows a larger measure, it will ride through the legislative process. The clerk of the House numbers each bill as an introduction and gives each bill a short title. Depending how important the bill is, brief summary is made on its own contents. After it is entered into the House Journal and in the Congress record, which holds records of debates, other comments, votes, etc., that's where made on the bill. All through these records are often changed and altered. Members reconstruct, add, revise speeches or remarks. During the second reading, it is looked over by the floors of consideration. The third and last reading takes place just before the final vote on the bill.
So with the first part of the top, where it says writer gives a definition, when they have a bill, but like other sponsors want other smaller bills to be passed, but it kind of has to do with the same thing as the main bill, they'll try to put it together with the main bill and just make it as one.
Do you have a specific example of a writer?
Well, that's a really great question, and I think it's important to understand the concept of writers because let's say Alexis has this idea for maybe you want every time you buy he loves motorcycles, so,
I do.
okay, he loves motorcycles, so he thinks that anyone who buys a motorcycle ought to be able to be given a government-issued helmet with the purchase of that motorcycle. But, you know, there aren't a whole lot of people out there who ride enough motorcycles who would vote for that kind of thing. But then, Alexis, being the savvy elected official in the House of Representatives that he is, sees that Emilio is from Detroit, where the big three are, Ford, GM, Chrysler. And Emilio's been given a bill by the big three that they want him to push through, which will do something favorable for the big three. Well, Alexis thinks to himself, I wonder, you know, both are on the street, both, you know, you could say have to do with transportation. He goes over to Emilio and they do a little, you know, back scratching, and Alexis promises to help him out on another issue, and he agrees to help attach this rider to the bill he's pushing through on automobiles. So an unpopular giveaway here could now have a chance of going through because the big three and Emilio's influence on the committee can really help launch that forward. That's a rider that you can attach. Seemingly unrelated, but you get it tied in, and boom, it gets through. Yeah.
So riders are most of the time private bills?
Well, a rider is just something that is attached to a bill that's moving through which is seemingly unrelated, but bears a better chance of getting passed if it's attached to something that's more popular.
That was a school. Sorry about that.
After the first reading, the bill is sent to the standing committee. These committees are important and play a large role in considering or reporting only bills they find worthy of being looked at and considered out of the many bills they must go through. Out of these thousands of bills, many are pigeonholed, buried, and put away, or they die in committee. Although in some rare cases a discharge petition can be enabled by members to force a bill onto the floor for consideration.
Could you kind of explain that in just everyday normal terms? What the heck that means?
The discharge?
Well, what it means to be pigeonholed or to access the discharge petition route. Give us an example where we might see that in action.
Well, like a minor bill, like a small bill that doesn't really have to do, it's like a private bill, I think it is. But, like those minor bills, they'll get thrown out because there's so many bills, and I guess there's more bigger bills to deal with that are more important. So they'll just kind of like, these are not that important, so push them aside, throw them away, never to be looked at again. But you, like some of the members, they could put, I guess, discharge, a petition, and then they could say like, no, I think that bill's important, look at it again. But in some, usually it doesn't really happen because they kind of just push it aside again because they don't think it's important.
Let's stay with the bill over here. Emilio is from Detroit, and he's advancing this bill in the House of Representatives. Well, it goes to the Rules Committee. The Rules Committee assigns it out to, I don't know, where would a bill on automobiles go? Banking, budget, Ways and Means, appropriation. Oh, and then they assign it to an environmental committee. Well, it gets over to the environmental committee, and Mark over here is what some people might call a tree hugger, and he thinks that there are too many cars out there on the road, and he doesn't like automobiles. So as the committee of the environmental committee, he decides to sit on this bill. Well, what happens with him sitting on the bill is the bill is effectively what? It's dead. It's not going anywhere. So now Emilio's getting pressure from GM, from Ford, from Chrysler saying, dude, where's our bill? What are you doing with it? And Emilio, if he wants to keep that money flowing in for his re-election, he's got to exercise some muscle. So now he goes next door to Alexis and said, Alexis, you wanted to hook that rider on, you better find a way for us to get Mark sitting on that bill over there in the environmental committee. So Emilio goes and starts networking with Mike and Giselle and Haley. Alexis, meanwhile, goes and to his buddies over here, and now they issue, since he's pigeonholed it, they issue a discharge petition. They have enough votes, so now the Sergeant of Arms in the House of Representatives goes over to Mark's committee and forcibly takes the bill from his committee and brings it out so that they can move on for the process.
We just took it back from you. You kind of lost your station.
The committees, well, they're going to talk about this. There are five options that the committee has once they get a bill. Why don't you go ahead to that?
Actually, I still have a question. Why can't you just like be, because their riders usually don't have anything to do with like the bill at hand. Why can't they just be kicked out?
Well, they can, but artful politicians who are very savvy and skilled, will look for ways to get everything they want, taking any route that they can. And as long as you're in the good graces of the Rules Committee, that can happen.
Seems like you're in the good graces.
Subcommittees, divisions of existing committees formed to address specific issues. For further coverage and more information to be discussed about the bill, the standing committees send the bill to their remaining subcommittees. Subcommittees can hold public hearings on the bill, which are open to interested persons, special interest groups, and governmental officials wishing to testify at these sessions. So that's what we were saying before about talking about the other committees and how the House has committees and then has subcommittees and they all work on the bill.
After a subcommittee has finished, it has analyzed on the bill, it's given back to the full committee. That body may do one out of the 5 purposes. 1. Report the bill favorably with a due pass, and the bill will go through debate on the floor. 2. Refuse to report the bill, which, in other words, to pigeonhole it. 3. Report the bill after it's been altered and changed committee simple. 4. Report the bill unfavorably, but give the full House a chance to consider the bill. And 5. Report a committee bill, which is a whole new bill that was made to stand in place of one and many bills referred to it.
So once the committee gets a bill, it has these 5 choices.
Scheduling for debate. There are 5 calendars used in the House.
Talk about confusing. I can't even keep my one calendar straight. How in the world do they keep 5 different calendars going?
Number 1, the calendar of the Committee of the Whole House and the Senate of the Unit, whom deal with revenues, appropriations, or government property.
Can I get you guys to finish this up?